Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about the graph. So, as you guys are probably all aware, we just recently seen a major move on the graph. We are going to be talking about it, but we made a video talking about why I believe that the graph is extremely undervalued. And since then, I feel like a lot of people have finally realized why. We're going to go in depth on that as well, and we're going to talk about some of the few updates that we just recently seen around the graph. So first off, let's go back to that video. So this was the video that I was talking about. So we were talking about the graph at around like 8 cents. Now, prior to this, we were buying and averaging into the graph because we seen it as a very incredible opportunity within the space. And since then, yes, we start to see a major price move. Today it is sitting at about 19 cents. It recently hit a high of about 23 cents. And this is due to AI and data becoming a big, crucial area to focus on within crypto. This is a narrative that is being pushed, as you guys do see over here. Top AI and big data tokens are up about 16.19% overall in market cap. Trading volume is up about 52%. And we do see on the 24-hour span and on the 7-day span that this is no joke. And even the graph does not even stand close to some of the gains that we are seeing on these tokens. They are doing an astronomical amount of movement so far within the space, and it is something very exciting to say the least. Now, as we do focus on big data and AI and things like that around this entire space and this entire sector, where could we see this actually go? Well, a lot of what we are seeing in terms of like price movement within this market, I do think that a lot of it is speculation. I think that a lot of it is, how should I say it, money grabs and also rug pulls. And when we really kind of look at most of the tokens that we have been focused on, like even the graph has been one that, in my opinion, is going to be a crucial aspect to the entire Web3 economy. And I also think that the graph is going to stick around for a very, very long time. Why? Well, because of the use case advantage that it does have tied to it, but also as we focus on what the graph has been doing for years prior, we go all the way back to like 2020 and 2021 when it first launched. Remember what I said, this was one of my biggest gainers during that time. We were jumping in at around like 30 cents, which was like around this area here before it went parabolic to about almost $3. It was like $2 and like 30 some cents or so. During that time, this was labeled the Google of crypto because of what the graph was doing. And I feel like that narrative is still very true today because they continue to expand and build out. First, let's take a real quick look, though, at price. So before we get into, in-depth viewpoints on like where the graph could go and stuff like that, let's take a look at where we are looking to buy again on the graph. Now, full transparency, I did not sell any of my graph on this run up. I just don't feel the need to. I feel like this is going to be a long-term conviction to me. But as we do focus on where we recently just went to, this was the area that I was focused on, like right around like 20 some cents, being the major resistance area for the graph. We ended up really kind of pumping up a little bit more, which is totally fine. I mean, I'm sure that if I go back to like the 4-hour, we can see exactly why this kind of pushed up a little bit above those levels. So going all the way back here to these levels, so we can kind of see there is a little bit of resistance at around like the area that we kind of pumped to. So it is, in my opinion, viable that it did have that nice little wick above that area that we were focused on. But since then we lost it, and now this is most likely going to be resistance. So it's probably going to trail a little bit here. Depending on what Bitcoin does, we are expecting this downward trend to start within this area is where I feel the need to not only re-enter, but also look for nice entries for the long term. But also, I do expect this to come back up, retest this area, maybe even trail against it for a little bit, and then finally get that breakout to much higher levels. Now, the first level that we have here on the fib extension is this really kind of the 24.5 cent zone. There's really not a lot of resistance during this area run, so I would honestly be looking at much, much higher, regaining this area of demand at 32 cents, which would be, a crucial area to regain. I mean, even regaining the 24.5 cent zone would be a big area because, again, this is like right where we were trailing at and buying at back in 2021 before we went on that major run up. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Just really kind of looking to see if we can get this retest of this demand area down here, then get that eventual breakout of this resistance zone. It all depends on what Bitcoin does. But with that, what are we focused on with the graph? So recently, they announced that they are going to be looking for layer 2 on the Graph network, which is going to have significantly lower gas fees, faster transaction times, and a more scalable decentralized network for all participants, which is very, very exciting. So I'm very excited for this. I think that this is great. And this is also, again, proof that they continue to build, continue to expand, and also continue to make it as efficient as possible. I also love to see the engagement. Listen, in terms of how large the Graph is, they have a massive community over on Twitter. I mean, 257,000 followers. Now with that, right, they have a ton of engagement. And yes, we are going to be talking about this recent announcement as well. Their engagement is incredible. And I personally love to see that from any project within the space because, again, it's very easy to make your project look great by buying followers, stuff like that. This, to me, engagement is a big key aspect. Now, in general, as we do focus on the Graph and their recent announcement with Messari, so we do see a subgraph built by Messari Crypto to index Avi v3 data is live on the Graph's decentralized network. Avi is a DeFi borrowing and lending protocol that provides liquidity for users with collateral. With the subgraph, anyone can easily track Avi v3 data. And yeah, we've seen this, and I thought it was very interesting. Avi is actually a token that we were watching back in 2021. And it's actually a token that we recently started to look at again recently, just because of a possible trade setup with it. But hey, we never took that entry, but it's all good. But with this, I think that this is great. They do show us an in-depth view on this, how transparent it is fully. Like, this is what we need around crypto is transparency. Transparency is our friend. Transparency is key. And decentralized transparency itself is something that is a huge opportunity. That's why when we first initially looked at the Graph, again, after we made some money on it, we were like, okay, yeah, this seems like it's going to be a huge opportunity going forward because Web3 is continuously being built out and the Graph is decentralized data for the Web3 economy. So why wouldn't that be a huge area of focus? Now, I've seen a lot of people saying like, oh, the Graph has way too much supply, the market cap's far too big. In my opinion, I don't think that it is too big at all. I think in this video as well, we talked about the possibility of the $140 trillion plus market cap potential for Web3, and there's going to be a lot of data. There's going to be a ton of data. So we need something like the Graph to not only decentralize that data, but also keep it secure, make sure that it's fully transparent, all that kind of stuff. So the Graph, in my opinion, is going to play a critical role in the Web3 economy evolution, and that's why I think that it's going to be around for a while. Now, in terms of the subgraph, so here you have the subgraph efficiently organizes Avi data such as lending, markets, deposit, and borrow, usage, protocol activity, daily borrowing, deposits, rewards, interest rates, and interactions. Pool data, TVL, APR, revenue, and liquidations. The Avi subgraph built by Messari is a public good, so anyone can query or fork it. Using the subgraph, anyone can build dApps to analyze and report on individual or market level activity, compare total value locked, borrowing, and lending rates, or usage stats. The Avi subgraph is just one of the many DeFi subgraphs from Messari Crypto live on the Graph network. Again, all of this is great to see. I think that honestly, we're going to continue to see a lot of growth like this. And so far, I will say, I've been loving there's been so many major networks out there, so many individuals coming over to the Graph community as well. I've been loving this because I think that a lot of people are finally realizing how big this is. We do see over here from PinX Network, asking yourself what are 5 great things about the Graph. Effortless data retrieval made possible with the Graph protocol. Say goodbye to complex data queries and hello to simple and efficient data retrieval from dApps. A decentralized solution to indexing and querying data. No more single point of failure, and enjoy a secure and resilient infrastructure. Join the thriving community of developers, indexers, and users on the Graph protocol. Collaborate, contribute, and even grow with the Graph network. Experience cross-chain interoperability with the Graph protocol. Supports Ethereum, IPFS, and POA networks. Get the best of all worlds. intuitive and easy to use. The Graph protocol is the best, or the perfect choice, I should say, for developers. Enjoy a simple interface, detailed documentation, and support resources. So yeah, again, incredible things, and I really do think that a lot of people are starting to realize the value here. This is why when I first started to do a lot of research on this, and knowing what I knew about the Web3 economy, I just could not see a future where the Graph was not a big hit. So I'm very happy to see a lot of people realizing this now. I know that this could just be a major pump. It could just whatever. It does not matter. I feel like this is putting a lot more eyes on what the Graph is doing, and they will continue to move. They will continue to be a big hit as well, with a lot more network usage already as well. Like for an example, from DApp Looker, last week set a new record with the highest number of DApp querying the Graph network, or Graph protocol network in the past 2 months. 129 plus unique dApps queried the network, 2.2 million plus Graph GRT queried in total, and growing. So again, there's a lot more consumers querying weekly on the Graph. This is continuous growth of the network. This is awesome. And there's an in-depth viewpoint on all of this as well. Active subgraphs on the Graph protocol's mainnet grew steadily over the past 6 quarters. End of quarter 4 saw 618 active subgraphs, 25% increase quarter over quarter, 151% increase year over year. Web3 projects are leveraging subgraphs to execute on their data strategy. Solana, Request Network, and even Oasis. So all of these are utilizing this. And by the way, Oasis, I don't know. So I don't know if this has anything to do with other projects, but I know that there was another project that we were looking at. I think it was actually, I think it's right next to. Sorry, let me refresh big data real quick. I think, yeah, Oasis Network. So I was actually thinking about Rose, which Rose just recently started to do a major jump out as well. So but nonetheless, these are great. In general, these are like projects that are actually utilizing the power and the potential of the Graph. Again, I think that there's going to only be more and more that do so in the future. And you could look at the entire state of the Graph in quarter 4 of 2022. This was like the end of 2022. This is not even this year, but here's basically how all of this works. Like, this is the full-on ecosystem. So you have those data sources, blockchain storage networks, P2P networks, and then you have the Graph itself, which is it's ingesting all of the data from all of these networks, and you have the indexers, the staking, the signals, curators, delegators, all of that all together in this entire ecosystem. And then you get that Graph QR or QL API, which is the usage applications plus developers, and all of that is fully transparent and decentralized. But yeah, this went in depth on everything. We're starting to see a lot of growth. It's only like, to me personally, going forward on with Web3 and how big Web3 will essentially become, I just don't see how the Graph is not going to be a huge hit going forward, and it doesn't achieve a dollar plus status again. What we've been looking at is just getting back to the all-time high. I am expecting at some point in time the all-time high to be hit yet again. I think that as we look at the overall idea around the all-time high, when we focus on what can move the price, what's going to be the catalyst, right now it's just the success of Web3. And I think that Web3 is going to continue to succeed. And as we also look at other things around the network itself, network usage fees are skyrocketing. We're actually seeing a 66% quarter over quarter increase here, with about 6,228% of an increase, which is crazy year over year. So we're starting to see the revenue being generated on the Graph, which again is a huge success story for them. But we also see the Graph's demand side revenue reaches all-time high in December of 2022. So we're well beyond in terms of like revenue demand and network demand usage as well, because of the fees. So again, all of this is incredible. I love to see this. The Graph is going to be very successful going forward if they can continue to have that demand, which I highly doubt that they are going to lose any of that demand. So with that, we really kind of look at like, okay, well, where could this thing go if the bull run is starting, or by next bull run? Well, it's just really kind of targeting the all-time high of $3, which even from today's area price range wise, like just from the recent price action that we have now, this would still be a 15x opportunity run. off of the areas that we were really kind of looking at and investing in. And even from that video at 8 cents, this was a 36x opportunity run. And anything up here, and really anything up here, is like a 60x opportunity run. Now, are we going to go all the way up to like the 1618? I highly doubt it, but that's why we haven't been really looking at the log scale ones. We've been looking at this one, which is just like a regular fib extensions, which the 1618 is the one that we are targeting. But could this thing go much, much higher? Yeah, sure. This thing could probably hit about, $10 at some point in time, but it all depends on how big of a run the AI narrative really kind of generates. So very excited for the future of the graph. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, it's been a fun time looking at these projects, and it has been great really kind of looking at these projects. So with that in mind, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.